Thank you, Yoav. So we are going to family medicine instead of personalized medicine, which is nice. We are restricted on time, so therefore I'm pushing. I want to invite Dr. Ron Neuman, an ophthalmologist, which is related to the previous lecture, in training specialized in inflammatory eye disease, experience in clinical studies and drug development. Ron served as the head of the ophthalmologic development at Pharmos and brought the two medications, the Lotamax and Alorex, to FDA approval, director SRO activities with the HMO, conducting clinical studies for the industry, utilizing computerized infrastructure of the HMO to boost recruitment. And over the last 9 years, Ron had led the global medical activities for the innovative business in Teva, mainly through the MS business.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've gone through that. And actually, I'm trying to bring to you the point of view of the client. We have heard a lot from all of you who are the developers and the innovators of all these very, I would say, complicated and very, very highly professional methodologies in statistics. But at the end of the day, these methods should be speaking to those people who use the data, and it should be in some way that they would be able also to understand what has been done in this whole, through this whole machinery that you have presented to us, and also to be able to criticize and to better understand whether they are using the right things or not. So in terms of clinical studies, one should understand that there are actually two major dates in the life of a clinical study. And perhaps the most important date is the very first time when the protocol is being signed off. And this is actually the date, that the other date will be the data lock, when all the information is brought in and we close everything and now nothing can get in or out from the database. But when we actually, the big date is the date when the protocol is signed, because later on, after that, everything is already agreed upon. And things are pre-structured, and we work under restricting conditions. There are ethic guidelines that we need to follow, and they are very important and critical to it. And there will be rigid inclusion-exclusion criteria that we cannot change. Even though over the life of the clinical study that may last for years, which is both the recruitment process and the on-study time, things may change. And we actually understand that maybe the inclusion-exclusion criteria that we are using were not the right ones. Maybe we actually need to pull in some other endpoint that was not utilized originally, but that's it. We are already locked. And then we are also locked via the statistical package that we cannot change. This is an agreement between the people who wrote the protocol and the people that later on would criticize and look at the protocol and the data that came out of it. So one more thing to understand is that we are working in this world. And beyond a lot of things that we hear that are relevant to the mathematics and to the statistical equations and alike, clinical studies are industry-led and industry-sponsored. And that means and there are two ramifications to it. One is that there is a regulatory oversight and in the pre and the post discussions of the clinical study that are far away from all those things that you are discussing and brought to us here. And the other thing is that there is a huge economical ramification. So much money is involved, and that means that there are so much pressure in the system. And let me go here, and then we'll come back. And I would like to talk to you about some sources of bias that you may not think about it intuitively when we think about clinical studies. And this is about the written and the unwritten ethical behavior. And to our advantage as physicians, I would say that physicians are committed to their own patients more than they are to the study protocol. And why do I say that? Look at this graph, which shows in MS studies, and I don't, okay. And it shows you actually the level of annualized relapse rate of the disease in the older study. Look at those values that are going in between 1988 till, sorry, but I don't find, oh, here it is, between 1988 and 1997, and what happens after that. And actually, if we were to look at those level of annualized relapse rate, the 0.3, the 0.4, this would have been much beyond what we were hoping to achieve in treatment before. And why is that? Because as soon as there are therapies, the physicians are actually selecting their patients. They are not really putting those patients that they believe are really prone to progress, prone to be very active, into a placebo-controlled study, because 50% of them will not get treatment. So there is this tendency to manipulate somehow, and physicians know how to do that, to manipulate it out somehow to the benefit of the physician, of the patients. So you can hardly criticize that. And at the end of the day, you are doing all kinds of statistical assumptions that you will have this and that number in the placebo group, and you came to the results, and actually nothing works out because you don't have any activity, any disease activity in the placebo group. So what kind of study did you do? You were actually doing a study in healthy patients. So this is about similar, and I don't want to get 2 more times, so I'll just conclude with saying that we need to somehow communicate, as I said before, whatever we achieve to our clients, to the physicians. And these are very busy people. And they forgot, believe me, because I forgot everything, and they forgot too, everything that they learned about statistics in medical school. So we need somehow a way to bring it back to them and to do it in a kosher way. And I would just, actually when I wrote it down, I thought that I would use the quotation by John Lennon. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. But following some things that I've heard here, maybe it's not that much of a dream. And this is, if there is just some thought to put to the panel for later on, if we can combine the knowledge embedded in endless medical bases to realize truths that we cannot see in traditional clinical studies, because there are so many databases that has not been utilized. It actually starts with a personal computer in each clinic of every physician. And can we use unmatched databases and sometimes match them and analyze them? And can we actually think about 5 years, 10 years from today, that when somebody will get his computer and will start to work in a clinic, he will not just be able to work on any kind of a database, but there will be databases that will be authorized and will be such that at the end of the day, similar to the internet, take the millions of physicians' computers around the world, combine everything that is in them together. It's a gold mine. And I will leave with that. Thank you very much.